we had people on Twitter asking like the SaaS if like what we were doing was legit or if it was a scam.
The old saying is that if you're not embarrassed by your MVP, you launched it too late. And I think it's pretty safe to say that Jean-Luc Karst, the co-founder of Secret, didn't launch too late. Secret is a platform for founders to save money on software. If you're part of an accelerator, you typically get a book of perks that includes credits and discounts to things like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Notion, Stripe, and other popular software tools that founders use. If you're not part of an accelerator, well, you don't get that book of perks. That's where Secret comes in. You pay a few $100s and you now have your own book of perks. Yes, you technically get a free book of perks from accelerators like Y Combinator or Techstars, but you actually paid in equity with those. With Secret, you just pay a few $100s. I'm not here to sell you on Secret though. If you're looking for why you should join Secret, you should check out my other video that actually goes in depth on the Secret platform. In this video, we're going to deep dive into how Secret got started and how they've now grown to a 6-figure bootstrapped business. Without further ado, let's have Jean-Luc explain the beginnings of Secret and they're not a scam MVP.
So we are a marketplace, so we need supply and demand. So there is always like a chicken and egg problem like related to launching marketplaces. So we at the time, first we've negotiated like a few deals. I think we had 6 when we launched the website. We've negotiated like 6 deals with some SaaS. Like actually they were like friends, so people we knew, kind of. So in our network. And then we had this like one pager with like the 6 deals, like selling the bundle for like I think $49. Like the design was very poor. Like we were kind of ashamed, like of. I mean, I would not have. I would not have paid myself like with my own credit card. Like we had people on Twitter asking like the SaaS if like what we were doing was legit or if it was a scam. So that was very funny. So yeah, it's like the early days. It's like it's really like. I mean, it gets back to this saying, right? That says like if you launched, if you're proud of what you've launched. You've waited too long to launch your product. So we were very on this, and then yeah, it's like it's a lot of hassle to spread the world with like no budget. So like leveraging any online communities, people that own audiences, trying to convince them to help spread the word because of the mission, the mission to democratize entrepreneurship. So
What caught my attention here is how they marketed Secret at first. It wasn't, hey, we have this cool tech or saving money on this. It was, we have a similar or same mission. Can we join together because of that? If you're trying to develop partnerships and not having traction, that might be a better positioning of it. Be on mission together with the partner. Don't just expect them to share it because it might be a good opportunity for their community. There's a deeper relationship built when you're on mission together rather than it's just a cool opportunity. There's plenty of cool opportunities. There's not as many partners on the same mission. With that messaging, Secret was able to find their initial customers. So, how has their growth strategy changed since finding those initial customers?
once you have like product market fit and you have some budget to allocate to invest, I think that's the key piece, right? So since we are self-funded, so it took us a while to have like decent budget to invest. And then you try to find ways to yeah, I mean obviously you're trying to find scalable ways for the business in terms of growth. So for us it means like investing in paid ads, investing in SEO, investing in affiliation to our affiliate network, um, investing in channel partnerships a lot, like white labeling our product to different types of partners, VCs, accelerators, fintech. So yeah, I think then it's a lot of like test and learn. Like you wanna. I mean, you for example, like I don't know, in affiliation, like you try a few things, some are working, and then you're like, okay, like I need to find somebody to own this project and to try to take it to the next level. And we are supportive of the person, so we provide resources for the person to try to be successful. So yeah, I mean to answer your question, yeah, methods change. Like we try to to be more organized, more structured, and yeah, like thanks to budget, we can do better, bigger bets.
I really love John Loop's approach here. This is actually week 1 of the Station Accelerator, which is all about experiments. As you get started, you create a bunch of small experiments that aren't risking a lot. It's just, hey, does this help us get traction? Yes or no? If yes, let's double down on it. If no, let's run a different experiment. As John Loop mentions here, that method doesn't have to change as you're growing. You can just make bigger bets. So instead of thinking, hey, let's throw $100 into a Facebook ad, let's actually throw $10,000 into SEO. Let's have someone help us find the right keywords, create the content, etc. The more revenue and profitability you have, the bigger the bets you can make. As Nathan Barry puts it, you can essentially create a flywheel of growth. If you hit on a bet or two, you can just keep reinvesting, and every reinvestment is bigger because you're growing. On that note of scalable growth, I asked John Loop if you had to restart Secret today, how would you approach growth? And here's what he said.
Probably invest more time, for example, in SEO, things that are scalable. Well, at least for me, I'm going to talk about myself. I think in my approach to things, I was super, you know, it took me a long time to have a scalable approach in mind. I was very taking the time to build relationships and be manual, etc. So I think projects that can bring scalable revenue faster, I would focus more on that. Yeah.
This scalable growth is way easier said than done, but it's important to think about. One of the lessons I learned in my last startup is that it's way better to have growth that is repeatable and scalable. In my last startup, we just built this growth rocket ship where we could have that rocket be fired once and get us these big fancy metrics like thousands of dollars in a Kickstarter campaign. However, all of that didn't help us in the long run because none of it scaled. It was a rocket it fired once. It should have been an engine where it creates this flywheel or scalable growth. If I were to restart my last startup that shut down, SEO and scalable growth would be on my list too. Manual growth helps you get started for sure, and that's absolutely the way to start. But it's not something that works in the long run. You need a system of growth. One of the ways that I've seen founders turn manual growth into scalable growth is by what people call building in public. Essentially, it's sharing everything about your venture and how you're building it via Twitter or YouTube or whatever platform you can think of. Building in public is interesting because people come on the journey with you, and your manual growth helps build your scalable growth because those people that are helping you spin the flywheel with engaging with your content or even being part of the content you are creating. So I asked John Loop, who has seen numerous founders build in public, how do you see building in public? Is it a positive or a negative?
I would say it gets down to your philosophy in life. I mean, some people build in public, they're extremely successful. Like we see them on Twitter, obviously, and in other places. I've also seen like some SaaS founders building in public and then complaining also about new competitors like launching and stealing their tactics. So I think, I guess it gets down to, your philosophy of life, also like your market, like to what extent it's crowded, like what are the, I don't know how to say that in English, like the barriers entry, like to the market. Like if it's super easy to build your product, like, I don't know. Maybe then I would recommend to be slightly less transparent, because then pretty much anybody can join the race tomorrow morning. If you really have like some technology or a product that is more sophisticated, then perhaps. But like at the end of the day, there is no hard rule on this, right? But it's true that, I mean, at least for me, like I just try to be more like working on my stuff in the basement, and that's it.
There's 2 points here. One I agree with and one I disagree with. The one I agree with is that there is a balance between showing everything in public and not showing anything. There's a ton of value in showing some of your building in public. For example, earlier this year, I shared on LinkedIn how I became monetized on YouTube, and that's one of my best LinkedIn posts of the year. However, I'm not showing everything because some things should stay private. I don't need and others don't want their conversations with me all over the internet. There's a limit to what's actually valuable in public and what's not. Where I disagree with John Loop is building in the basement. To me, there's this unhealthy notion that founders have to go on this entrepreneurial journey by themselves, and that's not true. I'm not saying John Loop was getting at that per se, but I don't want other founders to take it that as just an excuse to just be heads down 24/7. That's unhealthy. Build your startup or venture in community. Go to entrepreneurship events, engage with people on social media, build relationships. You'll go a lot farther and it'll be a lot more enjoyable. Now, am I biased with the having the Station community? Sure, absolutely. But that's also the reason I'm building Station. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to be this solo journey. It shouldn't be. Build with community and learn from others like John Loop who are growing in ways you might not be just doing just yet.